when a paralyzed little girl sat alone at her birthday party after every guest canceled, a thundering sound outside changed everything in an instant. What happened next when dozens of leather-clad Hell's Angels walked through the door would not only transform one forgotten birthday, but reveal how the most unexpected heroes can heal a broken spirit. What would you do if the most feared motorcycle club in town showed up at your door? The balloons drooped in the corner of the room like wilted flowers. Emma sat alone at a long table meant for 20 kids, her wheelchair locked in place before a birthday cake with 8 blue candles. The smell of sweet frosting mixed with the sting of cleaning spray from the community center walls. Outside the windows, the afternoon sun cast long shadows across rows of empty chairs, making the room feel even bigger and emptier than it was. David Chen checked his watch again and pressed his phone to his ear. The small screen showed it was already 4:30, a full hour after the party was set to start. "I understand," he said into the phone, though his tight jaw and furrowed brow showed he didn't. "Not really." "Yes, these things happen. Maybe next time." He hung up and slid the phone into his pocket, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes as he turned to face his daughter. That was the last parent, and like all the others, they weren't coming. No one was coming. The room had cost him nearly a month's pay. The cake was special made with Emma's favorite flavor, lemon with raspberry filling, just as she'd loved since she was small. Bright blue and silver streamers hung from the ceiling, and gift bags filled with treats sat untouched on a side table. Emma's face stayed blank, her hands folded neatly in her lap the way they'd been since the car crash 2 years ago. The crash that took her mom. The crash that took her ability to walk. The crash that seemed to take most of her smile, too. "It's okay, Dad," Emma said, her voice soft but steady. "We can just go home." David's chest hurt at how grown up she sounded. At 8, she'd experienced more pain than most children ever should. Her former friends had slowly stopped coming over after the accident, unsure what to say, uncomfortable with her wheelchair and her grief. The birthday invitations had been sent out weeks ago, each one a small hope that things might change. He'd seen the text chains from other parents when a mom had accidentally added him to a group chat. Their worried messages about how to handle someone in her condition and what if she needs special help still burned in his mind. As if being paralyzed made her contagious, as if kindness was too much to ask. "You look beautiful today," David said, noticing the care Emma had taken with her hair, pulling it into a neat braid with a blue ribbon that matched her dress. She'd even put on the small silver butterfly clips that had been her mother's. Emma shrugged, but her fingers moved to touch the clips briefly. "Thanks," she whispered. David watched her staring at the cake, remembering how she once raced across playgrounds, climbing the jungle gym, always leading her friends on adventures. The quiet in the room pressed against them both like a weight. "Maybe we should just head home," he suggested, trying to keep his voice light. "We can bring the cake and have a movie night instead." Emma nodded without looking up, a single tear slipping down her cheek and landing on her folded hands. David turned away quickly, pretending to gather some napkins so she wouldn't see his own eyes filling with tears. He had failed her again. All the money in the world from his tech company couldn't fix this kind of lonely. David began collecting the party favors he'd stayed up late to prepare. Each blue bag held candy, a small puzzle, and a photo keychain with Emma's first-grade class picture from before the accident. He'd hoped the keychains might remind her old friends of better days, of who Emma still was beneath her quiet sadness. Now those reminders would sit in boxes in their garage, next to Emma's old sneakers and the ribbons she couldn't bear to look at anymore. The cake's 8 candles stood tall and unlit. David had imagined the room filled with singing voices, with children's laughter. The community center walls, decorated with streamers and happy birthday signs, now seemed to mock their hopeful planning. A banner with Emma's name hung slightly crooked over the gift table where only 3 presents sat, all from David. "I'm sorry, sweetie," he said, the words feeling small and useless. He'd said them so many times since the crash. Sorry about her mom. Sorry about her legs. Sorry about the friends who faded away. Now he was sorry about a birthday party no one came to. Emma's fingers twisted the fabric of her blue dress. "Remember my 6th birthday?" she asked suddenly, "when we had that scavenger hunt in the park?" David paused, a half-filled trash bag in his hands. "Of course. Your mom hid all those clues. And Jesse and Taylor and I got stuck in that tree trying to reach the last one." A ghost of a smile touched Emma's lips. "Mom had to climb up to get us down." "She was so mad," David said, his own smile feeling rusty. "And then so proud when you figured out the riddle." The memory hung in the air between them, warm and painful at once. That day felt like it happened in another life, to different people. Before the rain-slicked road. Before the truck that couldn't stop in time. Before the hospital rooms and the wheelchair. Emma's phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at it, and her face fell even further. David didn't need to ask who it was. Probably another friend with another excuse. The phone had been buzzing all day with messages that all said the same thing in different ways. "We're not coming. We're uncomfortable. We don't know how to be around you anymore." "They're scared," Emma said quietly, as if reading his thoughts. "They think they'll say the wrong thing." "That's their problem, not yours," David said, setting down the trash bag and moving to her side. He knelt next to her wheelchair, taking her hand. "You are the same amazing, smart, funny girl you've always been. If they can't see that—" "But I'm not the same," Emma cut in, her voice cracking. "I'll never be the same. I can't run or jump or even go to the bathroom without help sometimes. No one wants to be friends with someone they have to take care of." Her words cut through David's heart. At work, he ran a tech company with hundreds of employees. He made decisions that affected millions of dollars. But here, with his daughter's pain, he felt helpless. "Your mom would know what to say," he admitted, squeezing her hand. "She always knew the right words." Emma nodded, tears now flowing freely. "I miss her. Every day." A heavy silence filled the room as the afternoon light began to fade, casting longer shadows across the empty chairs. David stood up, about to suggest again they pack up and go home, when a distant rumble made them both pause. The rumble grew louder, like summer thunder rolling in. Emma lifted her head slightly, curious despite her tears. The sound vibrated through the floor, making the punch cups rattle on the table. David moved to the window, pushing back the blue curtain to see what was happening. "What is it?" Emma asked, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. David squinted into the late afternoon sun. "Motorcycles, a lot of them." The parking lot, empty except for their car, was suddenly filling with bikes. Big, shiny machines in black and chrome rolled in one after another. Men and women in leather jackets and vests climbed off their bikes. David counted 5, then 10, then more than 20. The front door of the community center swung open with a creak. David stepped in front of Emma's wheelchair, not sure what to think. A huge man with a gray beard stood in the doorway. His leather vest had patches that read "Hell's Angels" across the back. His arms, thick as tree trunks, were covered in faded tattoos. "This the Chen party?" the man asked, his voice deep and rough like rocks in a bucket. David nodded slowly, confused and a bit scared. "Yes, but I think there's been a mistake. We didn't invite." "No mistake," the big man said, stepping inside. More bikers filed in behind him, men with beards and bandanas, women with bright hair and leather gloves. The smell of motor oil and leather filled the room. "Name's Bear," the big man said, holding out a hand the size of a dinner plate. David shook it carefully. "I'm David Chen. This is my daughter Emma. I'm not sure I understand." Bear turned to Emma, and his hard face softened. "You don't remember me, do you, kiddo?" Emma shook her head, eyes wide as she looked up at the giant man. A small woman stepped out from behind Bear. She had kind eyes, and gray streaked through her dark hair. "3 years ago, at Willow Creek Park," she said gently. "My daughter Lily fell in the water. No one saw but you." Emma's eyes widened with a flash of memory. "The little girl with the red shoes?" The woman nodded, smiling now. "You jumped right in and pulled her out. Never even waited for a thank you." "My granddaughter," Bear said, his gruff voice catching. "Lily wouldn't be here without your girl." More bikers moved into the room, setting down bags and boxes wrapped in colorful paper on the gift table. A woman with flame-red hair and arms covered in tattoos knelt by Emma's wheelchair. "We heard nobody was showing up," she said, squeezing Emma's hand. "That ain't right. Not for the girl who saved our Lily." The community center, so empty and sad just minutes before, now hummed with life. A tall biker with a gray ponytail fired up a portable speaker, and music filled the room. 2 women in leather vests brought in more food, trays of sandwiches, chips, and cookies, setting them next to Emma's lonely cake. "But how did you know?" David asked Bear, still trying to make sense of it all. "Lily's mom cleans at the school," Bear explained. "Heard the kids talking about not coming. Told us yesterday." He shook his head, disgust clear on his weathered face. "We got on the phone, called in some friends." A woman with silver streaks in her black hair touched Emma's shoulder. "The angels look after their own," she said simply, "and anyone who saves one of ours becomes one of ours." Emma's face, so blank and sad all day, began to change. Her eyes brightened. The corner of her mouth lifted. When Bear gently asked if they could light her birthday candles, a real smile broke across her face, like sunrise after a long, dark night. The community center glowed with warm light as 30 Hells Angels sang, "Happy Birthday" to Emma. Their rough voices filled every corner of the room that had felt so empty just an hour before. The candles on her cake flickered as Emma closed her eyes, made a wish, and blew them all out in one big breath. The bikers cheered and clapped, the sound like thunder in the small space. Emma's hands, no longer still and sad in her lap, moved with excitement as she opened present after present. Each gift seemed picked just for her. Colorful storybooks about brave kids, a soft blanket for cold nights, a special cup holder that attached to her wheelchair. A biker named Hawk gave her a leather bracelet with her name on it. "You're one of us now," he said, helping her put it on. "Angels stick together." Bear's wife, a small woman named Rose, cut the cake and made sure Emma got the biggest piece with the most frosting. The blue icing left a smudge on Emma's nose that made everyone laugh, including Emma herself. David couldn't remember the last time he'd heard that sound, his daughter's real laugh, not the polite one she used to make him feel better. An older biker with gray hair rolled his wheelchair next to Emma's. His leather vest had patches from Vietnam and a small American flag. His name was Mac. "Lost my legs in '71, he told Emma, his voice kind but matter-of-fact. "Been rolling ever since. Ain't nothing can stop you that you don't let, kid." He showed her pictures of his adapted motorcycle with special controls that let him ride without using his feet. Emma leaned forward, asking questions, her eyes wide with interest. David watched as Mac wrote down his phone number for her. "You call me anytime you want to talk," Mac told her. "Or if you want to see my bike someday when you're older." The thought would have scared David silly a few hours ago. Now, seeing his daughter's face light up with possibility instead of sadness, he found himself nodding along. Maybe someday. As the evening went on, David found himself sitting with Bear, watching Emma laugh with a group of bikers as they told her stories. "I can't thank you enough," David said, his voice thick with feeling. "This means more than you know." Bear shrugged his massive shoulders. "Your girl did something special once. Now we're just returning the favor." He looked at David with knowing eyes. "Life knocks us all down sometimes. The trick is having good people to help you back up." Outside, twilight painted the sky in purples and blues. Through the windows, David could see the motorcycles lined up in the parking lot, waiting to take their owners home, but no one seemed in a hurry to leave. Rose brought Emma another slice of cake, and David watched as his daughter told a story that made the bikers around her laugh. Her hands moved in the air as she spoke, painting pictures with her words. Her face was animated, alive in a way he hadn't seen since before the accident. Tomorrow, they would face the same world, the same challenges. Emma would still need her wheelchair. She would still miss her mom. The kids from school still might not understand. But something had changed tonight. Something important. Emma had found a new kind of family, one that saw her courage before her wheelchair. As the night grew later, Emma's new leather bracelet caught the light as she showed Mac how fast she could spin her wheelchair in a circle. Her laugh echoed off the walls of the community center. The cake was almost gone, just crumbs and smudges of frosting left on the plate. The birthday candles had burned down to stubs. David took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the warm, cake-scented air. For the first time in 2 years, the weight on his chest felt lighter. The rumble of motorcycles would eventually fade into the night, but the echo of this unexpected kindness would remain. A reminder that healing comes in forms we never expect, exactly when we need it most.